Good morning and assalamu alaikum. All right, students. I hope you have gone through your Google Classroom task that has been assigned to you there. This unit is Unit 4, The Old Oak Tree by William Henry Davies. It's a poem. And at the same time, now when we go through this poem, you'll see that there are the objectives which I have got in mind is that by the end of this poem, you should be able to tell me the central theme of the poem. You should know what's the idea, what the message is conveyed by the poet in this poem. And secondly, you should, which is the same, that you should be able to comprehend and understand the poetic devices used by the poet, as well as the idea expressed by him through this poem. I would first like to go through the poem with you so that when we read it, then you'll understand as I explain it to you. Although I have sent my explanation through the audio file as well in the Google Classroom. I hope you're all catching up with everything that is being sent to you, and the task that has been assigned to you. Hopefully you are conducting and doing it at home vigilantly. All right, let us begin with the poem then. Yes, the poem says, the poet actually, William Henry Davies, has said throughout this poem. What has he said? Let us go through the lines. It is, first of all, in stanzaic form, meaning there are stanzas. How many stanzas are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 stanzas are there. All right, let us begin then. I sit beneath your leaves, old oak, you mighty one of all the trees, within whose hollow trunk a man could stable his big horse with ease. I see your knuckles hard and strong, but have no fear, they'll come to blows. Your life is long and mine is short, but which has known the greater woes? Thou hast not starved women here, or man gone mad because ill-fed, who stares at stones in city streets, mistaking them for hunks of bread. Thou hast not felt the shivering backs of homeless children lying down and sleeping in the cold night air like doors and walls in London town. Knowing thou hast not known such shame, and only storms have come thy way. Methinks I could in comfort spend my summer with thee day by day, to lie by day in thy green shade, and in thy hollow rest at night, and through the open doorway see the stars turn over leaves of light. Now, students, you can all see that he has used in the first stanza, if you go through it, he has used, he's telling that he wants to sit, he's making a comparison of his life with the life of a tree, with the life of the oak tree. He, the poet William Henry Davies, has led a very sorrowful life, a very life full of sorrows, full of crying, agony, pain, and all these things he saw around him too, because he was a tramp. Tramp meaning a vagrant, and a tramp, which is given in your book also. They mean that a person who is wandering around here and there aimlessly, who's moving around here and there, and he doesn't have any aim in mind. Aim of life is missing at that time. So since he didn't have a proper home, he didn't stay at one point, he kept on moving around. So he saw people around, and he saw the worries of these people. He saw the miseries of these people, because these people were poor, they had nothing to eat, and he then, sympathizes with them. He not only empathizes with them, but also he compares his life, that he is mature because he has seen all this, to the life of a tree, oak tree, which is strong and mighty. And irony is, the only thing which is really you can say funny also, because he says that tree and he have gone through such miserable experiences of life, but still he would like to take shelter under the oak tree. He would like to lie down under the oak tree to get rest, to get peace of mind, because he believes that he can have this peace only by lying down underneath this tree. So this is irony. This is ironically he's saying that he would find peace only under the tree and not in any home or not in any shelter, although he has been homeless, but still he would not like to stay in any home. He says he would like to take shelter only under the oak tree because his life and the oak's life is similar. Then he says that you are very strong because people would also bring horses and they would tie them up as you can easily take care of those horses. Then he says that you are strong enough and you can you have no fear, because he in his life has experienced that fear. Maybe that is the reason that he can closely relate to the oak tree. And then he comes to the immortal and mortal situation where he says that your life is long. The tree life is long. It is eternal. It is going to live forever. And he says, mine is short because I'm a mortal human being and my life is going to be very short. It's not going to be long. I have to die one day. But which has known the greater woes? And he asked that who, which one of us, you or me? He's asking the tree, you or me, which one of us has known all these greater sufferings and these greater sorrows of life? Who has seen more, you or I? So he's actually bringing the comparison again between his life and the life of the oak tree. Then in the third stanza, he again comes to the same that you have not seen, he addresses the tree and he says, you have not seen the sufferings, the miseries of people, poor people who were in agony. And they were in agony because they could not get anything to eat. They were hungry and there was no food. So he's describing the poor condition of the people at the time that he was around, and the people who were surrounding him. So this shows that his condition was similar to the people who were living there, because they mistook the stones as pieces of bread. So this is very horrifying. The people at that, they had gone down or stooped to such a level that they had mistakenly taken stones as pieces of bread. Then he comes to the next stanza. He says that how the homeless children, the children who are without homes, they are lying on the streets and they're lying in the cold air, and their backs are shivering. You can see the shivering poor children lying in the streets, London streets, and they're lying on the floor. And you can't do anything about them because there are so many. How can you just help out everyone? He compares this, he again brings a comparison through a simile, like doors and walls in London town. Now, doors and walls in London town, why this similarity has been brought here? Because London, children, is known as a city of ghosts. It was known as a city of ghosts. That is from where, you know, this concept of what do you call this, Halloween day. Halloween also started from there, because it was known as a city of ghosts. At night time, extremely silent, and it was not crowded in those times. Now it's crowded, now it's everything there, but in those times, not so many people there, and wind blowing and misty and dark. So that gave a very creepy feeling. So he says that just like the doors and the walls, they're shivering with cold because they are naked, they are not covered. The doors and the walls are not covered with anything. Similar is the case with the children. They're lying in the streets of London and they're shivering and there's nobody to take care of them. Then he says, he comes again to his comparison with the tree, and he says that you have not known such things, though I have. You have only known storms, but I have known the shame as well, the shame of being poor, the shame of having no food to eat. And then he says that, but I would like to spend my summer with you. under your tree, under your leaves. I would like to stay in summer under the shade of your leaves, under the shade of your tree. To lie by day in thy green shade, and thy hollow rest at night. So again, he's saying the same thing, that he would like to have, like to spend his day and his night there with the tree, under the tree. And the beautiful imagery, visual imagery, if you see, although the whole poem is full of imagery, but the visual imagery, the sight imagery, the sense of sight is brought into play when he brings in the comparison, or when he brings in the personification, when he gives the stars the personality of a human being. When he says the quality of a human being, the quality is the stars turn over. Do the stars turn over? No, they keep on twinkling, shining. But the stars turn over leaves of light. Why? Because he says that at night time, when the moon and the stars are twinkling and there's so much light, that light falls through the leaves of the tree and they fall onto me, and I enjoy it. And he says then the light actually makes way, the stars light, or the light of the moon makes its way through the leaves onto me. So it's a beautiful poem with beautiful imagery. And let us see what we know about the poet and about the poem. Yes, the poet. Despite having led the life of a vagrant, I told you, a tramp, a one person who has got no home and he moves around here and there, William Henry Davies managed to become one of the most recognized poets of his time. Hailing from Wales, meaning coming from Wales, he lived in England, Wales. Hailing from Wales, Davies settled in London following the amputation of his right leg below the knee owing to a train hopping injury. So he had an injury, he got hurt, and his amputation, meaning his leg had to be cut off because of that injury. Several of his poems reflected the themes of hardship, the natural world, and city life. In addition to poetry, he published two memoirs. Memoirs, children, are actually a historical account or biographical account written by the poet about someone, or maybe about his own self. So the autobiography of a supertramp. The autobiography of a supertramp, he's writing about maybe his own self, maybe about some other person, but the same life as he has led. And young Emma. Now, he is writing the autobiography of a supertramp. Maybe he's writing about his own self. Autobiography is about his own, is about a personal account. But maybe he says autobiography of a supertramp. Maybe he's writing about someone else autobiography he's writing, or maybe he's writing about own. But basically, I think he would be writing about his own self, since he has been a tramp too throughout his life. And Young Emma published in 1980, and 4 novels he has also written. About the poem, the poet reflects on an aspect of the natural world in this poem. And Davies recalls his thought process in a creatively intriguing form as he marvels at the sight of a mighty oak tree and then delves deeper. Actually, this is a very creatively and attractive thing he has started with by actually relating the beauty of the oak tree. And then he goes deeper, delves deeper, goes deeper, drawing a comparison between the oak's life and his own life. He concludes that despite its longevity is having a long life. So despite its longevity, the oak tree hasn't witnessed gravely odious suffering like he has. He is actually saying that despite the long life that the tree has lived, the oak tree has lived, it hasn't seen those things, those serious things. Gravely meaning those serious, odious meaning the one which are foul. So seriously foul suffering, the bad suffering of the people he has not seen as I have seen, like he has. And ultimately, the relief and respite it has to offer is unequivocally sublime, meaning the rest, the peaceful, the serene atmosphere, the atmosphere which gives you peace is only to be found within, under the tree, under this oak tree. There only he finds relief, meaning he finds relief in nature. Nature is such a good thing. Even children in today's life, when we are all fed up of work or our things or our maybe other responsibilities, worries, what one should do when your mind stops working. I think this is the best thing to do, the best exercise. Once a while we should do, but right now we have to stay indoors, keep that in mind. I'm talking about when inshallah this all will be over. Like I find peace when I go at a beach. Maybe there are people, it's crowded and everything, but I just find my peace there. So you can find peace in nature. Some people find it in mountains, some people find it in trees, in nature, in flowers, in gardens, parks. All these natural aspects really give you pleasure, and they deeply satisfy your inner nature for peace. All right, now the poetic devices. Yes, the poetic devices, we have got alliteration. Alliteration, the simpler, I hope you people have done it in the previous classes, you all must have been doing, but alliteration, I just briefly touch upon these and then we go through. Alliteration is the are two words which are closer written by, and they generally, the easiest method to check them out is the letter, words which are starting with the same letter, like old oak, within whose, his big horse, H&H, stays at stones, S, in city streets. So they're closely written by SSS, they're alliteration of S. Man gone mad, alliteration of M, such shame, S alliteration, leaves of light, L alliteration. Juxtaposition is when two opposites are closely written together. It's oxymoron or juxtaposition, both have the same quality. So here, long, short, in one line, he has told about the long and short. Similarly, like doors and walls, repetition day by day, personification, stars turnover, I've explained it to you earlier. Imagery also I've explained earlier, visual that he is describing through the sense of sight, the sit beneath your leaves. So it's a beautiful poem, and I hope you've understood it. And through all these poetic devices, he has emphasized upon the life, the comparison between his life and the life of the oak tree. Then he has also described the woes and worries and sufferings of the people around him who were poor. And at the same time, the peace that one can only find in nature. So comparison of the life as well as the peace that he finds there. Thank you very much, students. I hope you've got the main gist of it. And inshallah, you'll be able to do the work that I have assigned you now more, I think now more comfortably. Okay, thank you and Allah Hafiz.